Namaste and good morning, everyone. We'll start the class with the prayers. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now we'll chant Mahamrityunjaya mantra 3 times. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhana Mrutyurmukshiyamamrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhana Mrutyurmukshiyamamrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhana Mrutyurmukshiyamamrutat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome everyone. So last time we had this class related to the Kartari Prayoga, Karmani Prayoga and Bhave Prayoga. I just want to go over a little bit more just to make sure that you understand the concepts. There is a clarity about it there, because this concept I find some people difficult to understand, because in English there is no direct equivalent, even though there is a passive voice, but concept here is slightly different. So I'll just go over it. Of course, the video is there of the previous class and class notes are there. So you are encouraged to read those class notes. That should help you a lot to understand the concepts clearly. So these are the 3 things: Kriya, Karta, Karma. So Kriya is the action represented by the verb. So here Balakaha Gachati. Gachati is the verb and that is Kriya. The boy goes. Then there is a Karta, which is the doer of that Kriya. And in this case, it is Balakaha, the boy, who is the doer of this Kriya, which is Gachati. So Balakaha Gachati. And then there is a Karma. Karma doesn't have to be there in a sentence necessarily. So there are some verbs which take karma, like the object. Here the karma is a technical grammatical term. So all these 3, please understand them as technical grammatical terms and do not get confused, because they have slightly different meaning in usage otherwise. So karma is the object, what we call in grammatical object of the verb. So the most immediate thing to be achieved by the performance of that action. So for example here, balakaha vidyalayam gacchati. Now vidyalayam, where he is going, that is the object of the verb. So that is karma. So balakaha gacchati is the kriya, balaka is the karta, vidyalayam is the karma. Because as a result of completing this action, he will reach the school. The boy goes to the school. So he will reach the school. So that's why it's karma. Even though that may not be his ultimate objective, but it's the most immediate thing to be attained, that is defined as karma, technically, in the grammatical terms. So in this sentence, all three are there. Balakah vidyalayam gacchati, karta, kriya, and karma. There are some verbs which can take karma, like gam, gacchati, it can take karma like vidyalayam. They are called sakarmaka. So sakarmaka. Sakarmaka simply means sam means with, and karma is the object that karma we are discussing here. So with the object, that means the verb can be with the object. Sakarmaka, that is defined for the root, for the dhatu, that it's a sakarmaka. The ones which, so gam for example, gam dhatu, root gam would be sakarmaka. Then there is some roots which cannot take the object, they are known as akarmaka. So karma again, and a is not, so without karma. So they do not take karma. So one such example is hasati, the boy laughs. So normally the way you would know whether a root is sakarmaka or akarmaka is simply like a logical question of what. So when you say the boy laughs, you don't say what. But if I say boy eats, the question naturally comes what. So eat becomes a sakarmaka because it can take object, while laughing becomes a akarmaka. It does not take object. Sometimes this logic may not always be accurate, but most of the times this will work. In that case, you have to look it into the Dhatu Kosha, which is the collection of all the roots. I have posted the links of that in our Sanskrit 1 course repository document for Dhatu Kosha. That's a listing of all the dhatus, all the roots. So gam dhatu in Sanskrit is considered sakarmaka. It can take an object. So when there is an object with the verb, then if I turn into a passive voice, that becomes a karmani prayoga. So balake, so here this sentence balakaha vidyalayam gacchati, I will turn into balakena vidyalayaha gamyate. It becomes a karmani prayoga. What does it mean is that karma becomes the focus of the verb. So earlier prayog, which we call active voice, is called kartari prayoga. That means the karta is the focus of the verb. Gacchati, who goes? Boy goes. Balakaha gacchati. So balaka is the focus of the verb. Now it is gamyate is gone to. So what is gone to? You will say school is being gone to. So karma becomes the focus of the verb. So by whom? Karta still remains the same balaka, but now it comes in the third case. So that is a karmani prayoga. When the sentence does not have a karma, irrespective of whether the root is sakarmaka or akarmaka, if the sentence does not have a karma, then that usage will become bhave prayoga. In bhave prayoga, there is no karma. So like balakaha hasati, the boy laughs. There is no karma here. Balakena hasyate. That is the bhave prayoga, passive voice. The laughing is being done by the boy. English does not support this structure, and therefore we can't have a meaningful translation of this sentence. Generally, you would still translate this sentence in English also as the boy laughs. But here, just to show the difference, we have put the translation. But if there is, if suppose you were to translate a proper Sanskrit text, then you would just translate it into the boy laughs. For our exercise purpose, we can show it like this also, but that's how you will find the translation. Even this sentence, balakaha gachati, if I were to convert into a passive voice, it will become a bhave prayoga because it does not have a karma. Even though gam root can take karma, it will become balakena gamyate. It becomes exactly the same as the going is being done by the boy. That's what literally it would mean. So the difference is that in bhave prayoga, the verb always comes in the third person singular. In karmani prayoga, depending upon the karma, it will change. So if I have this sentence, for example, so let's see this one sentence, next one. Balakaha vidyalayam gachanti. The many boys go to school. So gachanti here is in plural because it is kartari prayoga. So the balaka is also, as a karta is also in plural. While the karma, vidyalayam, it's still in the singular. If I convert this sentence into the passive voice, that will become a karmani prayoga because there is a karma here. So even though in kartari the verb is gachanti in plural, here it will become gamyate because in karmani prayoga, karma is in singular, vidyalayah. That's why karmani prayoga, the verb also will become singular. And the karta, the balaka would be plural still, but it would be in the third case. And that will not decide what is the verb. It is the karma, because in karmani prayoga, karma will decide what is the nature of the verb. Similarly, if I have to say balakaha vidyalayan gacchati, a boy is going to multiple schools. Then if I have to turn that into karmani prayoga, here even though the verb is in singular, gacchati, because in kartari prayoga, this is kartari prayoga, because balakaha is in singular, here the verb becomes plural because karma is plural, vidyalayaha, vidyalayan, vidyalayaha. So it becomes a plural verb. And the karta is still in singular, but it comes in third case. So that's the difference you have to understand clearly between karmani prayoga and kartari prayoga. Bhave and karmani, essentially there is no difference. The only difference is in bhave prayoga, whenever there is no karma associated in the sentence, then automatically it becomes a bhave prayoga. And in bhave prayoga, the verb always comes in third person singular. So karmani prayoga is simply when karma is there in the sentence, you will have karmani prayoga. Otherwise, you will have bhavi prayoga. So I hope that part is clear. This was just a revision of the previous class. If you have any questions, please ask. So there is a question here. As per your explanations, I understood that karmani prayoga is the passive voice for sakarmaka verbs. So I hope I did explain now. Karmaka and sakarmaka, person is asking whether they can be translated as transitive or intransitive. You can but in sometimes what is transitive in English may be a little different in Sanskrit. So that's why I did not put, but generally speaking, yes, you can translate. Second question is whether bhavi prayoga is always for a karmaka and karmani prayoga is always for sakarmaka. So think of it from this way, whether the sentence has karma or not. So balakah gacchati here, even though gam dhatu is a sakarmaka, transitive root, because it does not have a karma, it does not specify. It just says balakah gacchati, you would still make it as a bhavi prayoga. So go by the sentence, whether the sentence has a karma or not. If sentence has a karma, it will become a karmani prayoga. If it does not have a karma, and karma means something coming in the second case. If it does not have a karma, then it will become a bhavi prayoga. So that way it should be simpler and more appropriate to say rather than simply saying transitive or intransitive. Because even though gam is transitive here, it does not specify karma. Sakarmaka does not mean that it has to specify a karma. Sakarmaka means it can specify a karma, or it may not also. Okay, so there is a question, can you please go over to the genders of the cases? I'm not sure what do you mean by the genders of the cases. Could you please clarify a little bit more? So this was just a revision. Then today we'll cover this topic of future tense, lut lakara. So genders of the cases, person is asking third person and first person. So that is third person and first person is not the genders of the cases. It is simply the person, whether it is a third person or first person or second person. So first person is I or we, second person is you, irrespective of the gender, and third person is he, she, or it. So here the first person or second person does not matter because it is simply the verb will follow the karma. So if karma is in first case, suppose balaka is going to you and I say balaka tvam gacchati, then you become the karma and then the verb will be say gamya se. Balakena tvam gamya se, for example. So whatever is if the karma happens to come in the first or second person, then the verb also will follow. So verb will always follow the karma. If you have any doubt, please give me a specific example where you may be having a doubt either from the book or otherwise, and then we can go over that specific question. So in the 15th class of the last Sanskrit 1 course, we discussed the tenses and moods. And if you remember, we talked about 10 tenses and moods in Sanskrit. So tenses are these 6. How do you say that there are 6 tenses? There could only be 3, right? Present, past, and future. So Sanskrit has 3 tenses for past tense, and 2 for future, and 1 for present. Why there are 3 for past, that this one is called Anadyatan Bhuta, and you could refer to this video and notes to get more details. We discussed those things, but just for the sake of revision here, Anadyatan Bhuta is something which happened in the past other than today. So not today's past, but before today, something happened, then I would use this one. Something happened for which I was not the witness, like Rama went to forest. So that will be used for Paroksha Bhuta, Lit Lakara, that kind of past. And this is the general past for just specifying anything. So out of the three past tenses, the distinction which I just told you, something happened before today, something happened of which I was not a witness, and in general, that's the distinction, that semantic distinction, that is pretty much lost in the modern texts. So you will not find that distinction holding much anymore, very little only in the modern texts. So modern text, when I say, it means all the classical texts other than Vedas. So similarly, the two future tenses, one is called Anadyatan Bhavishyan, the one which will not happen today. So suppose if I say tomorrow Rama will go to forest, then I will be using this future tense, and this is in general. I am not specifying a time in particular, but in general I am saying Rama will go to the forest, then I will use this future. So out of these, again, just like in the three past tenses, the subtlety of semantics is lost. Similarly, in these two future tenses also, that subtlety is lost in the classical. So in any way, when you translate in English, you will always be, because English only has one past and one future, you will always be translating as like he went or he will go, like that. Out of these 6 tenses, we studied, out of the 3 past, we have studied this one, Lang Lakara. And we have studied a little bit of this one, but not very extensively. Then there are so many moods: imperative, potential, conditional, benedictive. Imperative mood is, so many of these moods, and samshaya, subjunctive, many of these things, they can have some inter-overlap. So agya is simply to command somebody, to request somebody to do something. Vidhi is more like, potential is more like that you are telling that what he should do, what he should not do. But between imperative and potential, there is a significant overlap of meaning, and they can be used in many cases interchangeably. Then the conditional and benedictive and subjunctive. The subjunctive is only used in Vedas. So we are not really concerned about this particular one, because we are not studying right now for the Vedas. Out of these 4 moods, Ashirling is something used for hoping something which I don't have right now. So it can also be used as a sense of benedictive, like to give a blessing to somebody for something which is not easy to have. So somebody could be like, may I become the US president, something like that, desiring, could be benedict, could be this particular mood. Conditional is something based upon certain condition. If rain would have not happened yesterday, then I would have gone to this place. if coronavirus would not have struck our country, I would be traveling all over the world. Something like that. So we use the conditional. So these two are not in the scope of our course right now. We have already studied these two quite extensively, lot and withering. So out of these four, we have studied quite extensively: present tense, lat lakara, anadyatan bhuta lang lakara, agnya lot lakara, and vidhiling. Panini has given these names, the short names, nicknames, lat, lang, lot, vidhiling, and they have become quite popular among the people to use them. So many a times if you ask Sanskrit students, instead of saying Vartamana, which is the word for present tense, they will just say lat lakara. Lakara simply means because it is starting with la, they say lakara. So all these are starting with la, lakara. Like even this one, vidhi is just an additional, the actual name is ling. So because there are two varieties in ling, vidhi and ashi, we say like that. But this is also lakara starting with la. So all these words collectively they are referred to as lakaras. So people generally say lat lakara, lang lakara, lot lakara, vidhiling lakara, not necessarily using these names, the detailed names. So we have studied these four quite extensively, and those of you who have done exercises from this course, they would be pretty confident in understanding these four tenses. We did touch upon lut lakara in the past class, but we did not do it very extensively. So today we will do this lut lakara. So out of the two future tense, lut and lut, we will use we will have this in this course. We will cover the lut lakara in more detail. So we'll see this one. What is lut lakara? It can be used in general future, and this is more common also. Between the two, this is more commonly used. So in the text, you will find much more usage of this lakara, this tense, lut lakara, than lut lakara. So in lut lakara, this future tense, general future tense, how do you make the word? So these are the steps involved. The suffix sya is added to the root after guna. So guna, if you remember, we have discussed in this class, it was also coming from the same word as guna sandhi. We have this guna sandhi. So guna is these three letters A, O and R. These are called guna. Technically only A and O are known as guna, but R also comes because for the rukara. So corresponding, like guna of ikara is ekara, guna of ukara is okara, guna of rukara is ar. So that is guna. So you add the suffix sya after the guna. Then there is some roots take this additional ikara. Which roots take and which do not, that is not beyond the scope of our course. You can of course see the actual forms and figure out. But the idea is that some roots take ikara additionally and some don't. Because of ikara, sya changes to shya. We'll discuss this rule. I have covered this earlier, but I'll do a little bit more detail on this. And then usual verbal suffixes. So that's how you make the lut lakara. It's not difficult. So for example, gum, if you look at gum, there will be no guna here because akara is only akara. It does not have a guna. Guna, as you saw, it's only for ikara, ukara and rukara. So there is no guna here. So gum remains gum. Then you add the suffix sya. So you add the suffix sya. Now this root takes ikara. So ikara comes before sya if it takes. So here comes ikara. You can see the transliteration here. And then the usual suffixes ti, taha, anti, like those. So total it becomes gamishyati. Similarly, kru, you can do guna, that is kar, then sya, and this also will take ikara, so it becomes karishyati. Pa is it to drink, gam means to go, kru means to do, pa means to drink. So pa, you add the sya and it does not take ikara, this root. So all you have to do is ti and becomes pasyati. Now this is the general scheme of the things. There could be different rules for some special verb, or they may be having some special changes in sandhi. But in general, this is the scheme how to make the future tense form. So if you know the present tense form, you can easily make the future tense form. Like this one, gum becomes gacha in the present tense, but otherwise gachati, gamishyati. Karishyati, like you can easily make from the root. Pasyati, will drink, will go, will do. This rule, how the sakara, which is dental, will change to this kind of shakara, which is cerebral. This rule is here. So rule is this: within the same word, if sakara is preceded by a vowel other than akara or akara, all these letters ka, kha, ga, gha, a, you know, all these are guttural letters. This group of 5. So any other vowel other than akara or akara, or any of these guttural letters, then sakara, the dental sakara, will change to cerebral shakara. So that's why it's a vowel other than akara or akara, ikara, it becomes sha. And this rule you will find in many places. So if you see here, we say Rameshu for Rama 7th case plural, Rameshu. But for Gita, we say Gita Su. You see with the difference. Here it becomes, because Gita it is A, sakara is preceded by akara. Here sakara is preceded by ekara. So it's only for akara and akara, it will remain dental sa, otherwise it will become the cerebral sha. So this you will find in many places in Sanskrit. So there are some dhatus, some roots, which happen to end in kakara because of certain operations. Then sya, when it changes to sha, because we saw kakara is also part of that, so it will change to sha, and then kakara and shakara, you know, this letter which is a little special in Devanagari. In IAST script you will not see any difference, but in Devanagari it becomes this special conjunct character ksha. So it becomes tyakshyati. Tyaj will become tyakshyati. Drush will become drakshyati. So if you see this kind of form also, you know that these are the lut lakara form. So this is the thumb rule here. Remember, the thumb rule is always a thumb rule. That means there will always be cases when this thumb rule will not apply exactly, but it works pretty well to identify the lut lakara form. So when you are reading a text, how do you know it's a lut lakara form, the future tense form? So if it has, it will be having like this ending kind of thing, syati, shyati or kshyati for parasmaipadi. So similarly, if it's a atmanepadi, it will have syate, shyate or kshyate. And also same thing for the karmani and bhava prayoga. So in future tense, you will not find the difference between karmani, bhave prayoga and atmanepadi prayoga. They would pretty much be the same. So how do you know whether it is a karmani prayoga or a kartari prayoga in atmanepadi? From the context of the sentence, you will know. So look at this sentence. Sa bhashishyate, taya bhashishyate. So sa means, you know, she. Bhashishyate, it is coming from the root bhash, means to speak, and bhashishyate would means she will speak, because it's a atmanepadi and you see it coming as shyate. This particular word is coming here, shyate. So bhashishyate, it's a atmanepadi form. How do you know that this is a kartari prayoga or a karmani prayoga? Because karta is in the first case, she will speak. So karta being in the first case, you know that it's a kartari prayoga. Now look at this sentence. Taya bhashishyate. Same word here, bhashishyate. They're exactly the same, because in atmanepadi kartari or karmani bhave, the future tense form does not change generally. So bhashishyate, how do you know in this sentence whether it's a kartari prayoga or a karmani prayoga or bhavi prayoga? Karmani or bhavi simply means that karma is there or not there. So you could easily treat them as one. Here is no karma, so it's a bhavi prayoga. So if you look at karta here, that is taya, and that is the third person singular. So karta is in the third case. If you see the tables of third, we already have covered them multiple times. So sa and taya. Taya is the third person singular. Sa is the first person singular. So taya bhashishyate, speaking will be done by her. So same meaning, she will speak. The meaning is the same here also. But if you have to literally translate this sentence, you will say speaking will be done by her. Okay. So with this much, I want to invite the questions if you have. Okay, there is a comment here. It was a little confusing to rewrite the sentences using the gerund form and the infinitive for homework. Please give me the specific example so that I can tell me exactly which sentence you had confusion and regarding with which particular part. So we can discuss that. So now, related to this particular class of today, are there any questions? Please send me over the chat window. So there is a question here. Can you please give the example of future tense using guna? So I already did kru. Kru becomes kar. So kru, you look at this dhatu, it becomes kar. So that is because of guna. So this dhatu will take guna here because of that reason. There would be other dhatu also, like bhu, bhavishyati. So bhu will take guna. Bhu will become bhavishyati, not bhushyati. So because of guna, it will become bhavishyati. Is there a rule wherefore when I is used before sya? So ikara used before sya. I said here that some roots can optionally, some roots can take ikara and others don't. And some example is here. Pa does not and gum does. So yes, there are rules, and those rules are pretty detailed, mentioned in Panini grammar, which is not in the scope of this particular course. But even there, because of certain historical laws, many a time there are some other mnemonic devices people use to understand which roots take ikara, which is not. So it's, even when you study Panini grammar, it's a little bit more complicated. There is a question, can please give the example of sakara changes to shakara if preceded by consonants? So this example I gave, tyaj, tyakshyati, this one. So here it, because of kakara, it changes into shakara. Tyakshyati, there is no vowel before shakara here. So it changes into shakara because of this preceding consonant, tyakshyati. Okay, there is a question from homework. Please send that question in the email. Chandana, Kishore. Do not, right now I want to take the questions which are focused on this particular class which you are covering. If you have the question from the homework, please send it in the email. Any more questions from what we covered right now related to the future tense? Okay, so there is a root called us, means to be. We have all studied this root, asti, saha asti, he is. So this is very common root. This root does not have the future tense forms because it is. So in future tense, it will take the form from bhu. So bhu, how will you make the bhu form? So bhu, and if you let us see how to make this form after guna. So bhu takes guna, for example. So bhu, and in order to make sya plus ti, let's say this is my general paradigm for making the future form. So this is the, let's say, step number 1. Then it will take guna. Bhu will take guna, and U, when it takes guna, you know it becomes O. So this okara could be either short or long, and it will have okara as the guna. So it will become Bho. It also takes ikara as the augment. So this ikara also bhu takes, and this in this case of bhu. So then it will become bho plus ikara plus sya plus ti. Then if you look at bho and ikara, another vowel sandhi takes place, that is ayadi sandhi. That O changes into av when it is followed by a vowel other than short akara. So here it's not short akara, O will become av. So here it will become bhav plus ti plus sya plus ti, and here it will become changed into the shya, because here the sakara is preceded by ikara. So this sakara will change into this murdhanya shakara or the cerebral. So that's it, and then it becomes bhavishyati. All we have to just combine the letters together, and it becomes, bhavishyati. So that is the form of the, and it is very similar to what we know bhavati, bhavishyati, like this. So us will take the, in the future tense, the form of bhu. So what will be the future tense third person singular of us? Will be bhavishyati, not asisyati. So as dhatu, it takes only the bhu as the future form. Okay, there are some examples from Gita. So verse 9:1, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha idam tu te guhyatamam pravakhyamyanasuyave jnanam vijnana sahitam yajñatva mokshase shubhat. You can see clearly here, pravakhyami, this word, and mokshase. This tells you that these are the future tense forms. So pravakhyami, because it's me, ending in khyami. So I told you here that you can see in the third person singular kshyati, shyati, khyati. So if you remember the first person singular, it will become ami or bhavami or gachhami. So in this case it will become gamishyami. So pravakshyami, that is a I shall now unfold. It literally means I shall now is clearly explain. So in English they have translated I shall now unfold. But literally vakshyami, it's coming from the root vach, means to speak. So pravakshyami. And mokshase, that is the second person singular and it's in Atmanepadi format. So this could be both Atmanepadi or Karmani Bhavi Prayoga depending upon the context. We will know. So in this case it's a Karmani Prayoga. You will be liberated. That's what Lord is saying. You will be liberated here. So you shall be free. Now another example, same word mokshasi is coming and mam upeshyasi. I'll highlight here. So shyasi, you see here upeshyasi. So you will attain me. And you will be freed. So again the same thing here. This is Parasmaipadi form, Kartari Prayoga. Parasmaipadi will always be Kartari, always remember. No matter what tense or what it is, when you see Parasmaipadi, it cannot be Karmani or Bhavi. It has to be Parasmaipadi only. Because Karmani or Bhavi Prayoga always use Atmanepadi suffixes. So Mokshase, it is a Atmanepadi suffix and it takes the here also it becomes a Karmani Prayoga. You will be freed. Okay, so with this Gita examples, I want to, so if you have any questions you can ask, otherwise we will go on to the classwork. Okay, so here is the classwork. So today's classwork is a little bit long. We can have maybe 13-14 minutes to see if you want can cover it. And this is taken from the exercise, which is a part of the home exercise. You can try to attempt to solve this much. And if you have any questions, please submit it through the chat window. Okay. So right now it is 9:53. We can again meet at like 10:08. So please try to do this work. And if you have any questions, we can discuss them after the break. Welcome back, everyone. So first I want to take the questions which you may have. So any questions related to the classwork? Okay, so if you look at this one, I'll just go over the classwork exercise part here. Kakaha falani khadishyanti. So it's pretty simple. Kakaha is the crows. Khadishyanti is the future form. And falani is the fruits. In the second case, it's a karma. So karta, karma, kriya. It's a kartari prayoga. And it simply would mean the crows will eat the fruits. Now this one, second one is an interesting sentence. If you look at here, patishyate, it's a future tense form, that's very clear. Jalena, so it's a kriya. What is jalena? It is in the third person singular. Jala, jalena. Jala means water. It's a neuter noun. So jalena means by water. So its karta is coming in third case. Pat means to fall. So will fall. And by the water. So in English, you don't like what if you say water will fall, you don't make as a passive voice. But in Sanskrit, as I said, it is allowed. It's a bhave prayoga. There is no karma here. So that literally, if you were to translate this sentence, you would be translating it as the falling will be done by water. Simply means water will fall. The water. So water will fall. But literally it would be the falling will be done by water. So just be aware that when this is a karmani or bhave prayoga, you can try to do the literal translation. That is fine, just for the sake of understanding. But keep in mind that when you read the books where this kind of sentences will come and you read those translations, they will normally translate as in the active sense because it does not make sense in the passive voice in English. Similarly, this one, this also is a karmani prayoga. Here it's a karmani prayoga. Ismarishyante. Will be remembered. Ismaro is the to remember. So will be remembered. It's a karmani prayoga because tabhyam balabhyam. This is in the third case. Dual. And dukkhani. Dukkhani is the karma. It is in the second. It is in the first case here. Dukkhani. It's a first case plural. It's a neuter noun. So by the two boys or two girls, for both this one would be the same. Balabhyam is a form, whether you say bala as a boy or bala as a girl, it is the same. So sentence has two meanings. Both meanings are equally valid. By both of those girls, the sorrows would be remembered, or by both of those boys, sorrows will be remembered. So this is a karmani prayoga. So there is a question, could it be he will fall by the water? No, it will not be he will fall by the water because first of all, without the context, it doesn't make sense, that kind of sentence alone. And here it is pretty clear that if we make the simple case of jala as a karta and pat means to fall, water will fall. It is making a much clear sense. But if it were in a context and you could say that, okay, there is another karta called he, and he is falling by the water, with the help of water he is falling, then you could potentially make that kind of case. But if you take the sentence by itself, that will not be a valid translation. Okay, so tabhyam is the pronoun form, as you probably know already. So pronoun table, tabhyam. So that's a dual, third person dual. And same in the feminine also. So this word is common, tabhyam, tabhyam. It is in third person dual. So that's why it can apply to both of those, by both of those. And balabhyam also is in the third case. So that's why it can refer to by those two girls or by those two boys. Okay, now if you look at here, this is converting into the future tense. This is pretty simple. You look at the kriya, vidyate is a kriya, and then you will just look into your book, Sanskrit-Subodhini, see what is the future tense form for this verb, and it is vedsyate here. So if all you have to do is potentially you can make it as vedsyate. So similarly here, labhante, you will change into the future form. Then ka esha nadi. This is interesting sentence because there is no kriya here. There is no verb form here. Ka esha nadi. So as you know, I told you that in case of us, sometimes the verb is implied. It is not explicitly mentioned. So that is the case here. So essentially, here the sentence is ka esha nadi asti. What is this river? So now asti will become changed into the future tense form. And I told you asti will take the bhu root form. So it will become bhavishyati. So that's how you will translate it into the future tense. Or you could consider here instead of asti, it is bhavati. That is also fine. So you can say ka esha nadi bhavati, which is this river, because bhu root also can be used in the sense of is. So you could consider here the hidden verb form or implied verb form as bhavati, and then convert that to a bhavishyati. See, it will be either way. Bhavishyati will be the future tense form. Similarly, esha ganga, here also the verb form is not explicit, so you will say esha ganga bhavishyati. Similarly, vahati vahishyati. So vetsati, or I have to check, but you will find the plural tense form, the future tense form for different roots in Sanskrit-Subodhini. Okay, so I hope that part is clear, and that will help you to do the home exercise because these were part of the home exercise. So there is a question, what does tabhyam actually translate to? Tabhyam is like tad, that. So by those two, like by those. So in that sense, you could say by those two boys or by those two girls. Normally, it will come in a sentence after already mentioning which two boys or which two girls. But in this case, you could just say the two girls or the two boys also. That also would be fine. Instead of those two, you could also say that the two boys or two girls will remember. There is a question here, gerund works similarly in all tenses. Yes, gerund is a indeclinable form and it does not change. So it works in the same way in all the tenses and all the numbers, all the genders. Don't we have to convert the second sentence to future? Yes, you have to convert the second sentence like labhante also into future, lapsyante. So I'm not solving it for you. Actually this particular one is already solved. First sentence is already solved for you when you do the homework. So in this time, the homework is really small, and this is related to the lesson 17 of Sanskrit-Subodhini. The exercise is really small. We have already solved partially here, and it should take very little time for you to solve this particular exercise. So if you are having some time in this week, you can go over some of the previous things which to catch up and submit the questions accordingly. I don't think that there is this particular lesson is really big. It's a both in terms of number of pages you have to study, that is only 1.5 page in the book, as well as the exercise amount of exercise is also fairly small. So even if you have not been able to be up to the mark in all the exercises so far, you can still solve and submit this particular exercise because we have already solved part of it in the class. I'll take a question which was submitted from via the email, and I thought it would be good for everybody to get a glimpse of it. So there is a question, no karmani prayoga in the conversion to future tense. Only if the verb is all mentioned in karmani prayoga, then you will use the karmani prayoga. So here, if it is only in bhave prayoga, you will just, so if it is mentioned in kartari prayoga, you will just change to the corresponding kartari prayoga. So there will be no, you don't have to convert first into karmani or bhave prayoga. However the sentence is there, you just convert accordingly into the future tense. That's the idea. The exercise does not say that first you make karmani prayoga and then convert into future tense. That's not what the exercise is. Exercise is simply convert into the future tense. And all the verbs, you will just see all the verb forms. In some cases the verb forms are hidden like here, but see all the verb forms and convert those verb forms into the future tense forms. So that way it is fairly simple. You will just get an idea, and of course you can even though exercise does not say that you need to translate, but you can translate and get a feeling that how the future tense will sound in this particular sentences. Okay, so the question was here that Sandhi rules facilitates easy pronunciation between first word ending syllable and second word beginning syllable for speech or dialogue, similar to assimilation in English or Japanese or other languages. So the two relating syllables usually in the same utterance parts of the vocal parts of the mouth. Apart from this, Sandhi rules have other functions. So this kind of question came quite a few times in the previous course also, Sanskrit 01, when we were doing. And you have to remember one thing, that Sanskrit language, it is not like a designed language. The language existed already, and the grammar was designed to account for the correct usage of the language. So language is already there, people are already speaking, and people understand what is the correct form and what is not the correct form. And then grammar was designed to account for all the correct forms so that people can use the language correctly. That is the idea of the grammar. So this idea of Sandhi as a natural aspect to be used, that two related syllables up will be from the same part of the vocal part or from in the mouth, that is a general idea. But when you take all the instances where the Sandhi is happening, you cannot intuitively reach that what will be the Sandhi rule. That you will not be able to figure out. For that you have to study the rules. So in general, as an idea, for example, can you just intuitively guess all these rules? Not possible. You will not be able to. Similarly, Visarga Sandhi rules, can you say that just by this principle the two letters are coming from the same place, I would be able to figure out all these rules? Not possible. So grammarians worked very hard on figuring out what all things are happening in the speech, and then they came up with this idea of Sandhi and put a structure around it and created these rules to account for the correct usage. So as an idea, as a principle, that may be correct, but in terms of just the usage, you have to learn the specific rules, and there are quite a few. So there are some comments which I have included here. I enjoyed this exercise number 17 from Sanskrit 01 very much. It's an excellent practice for vowel Sandhi rules. At first I had to check the chart for each exercise, and after number 20 or so I would figure it out without the chart most of the time. So I'm very happy to see that. You see, this person, even though is a little behind, number 17 from a Sanskrit, but it's the commitment which matters. This person has not given up. This person is still trying to learn and make sure that the understanding is there of the rules of the exercise. And when the understanding dawns, you see that it will become a joy to solve the exercise, because now you understand something, you are doing something with the understanding, and you get a confidence that, okay, even when it appears in the text, I can understand it. So please do not just give up on the work. If you are not able to catch up through all the exercise, it's okay, you continue doing whatever you can. Main thing is to keep making the effort. Even if you are a little behind, it's okay. And you can all, of course, send us the questions, send us your exercise solutions, even if you are behind. It's perfectly fine. Then there is this one, doing excellent. My exercise, even though looks like copied as it is, before I put in paper, I think split, look for sentence and look solutions and put the answer correct one. I feel I learning more than before. I can't write long complex sentences. The Sandhi tenses, moods, etc. better knowledge now. With this course, when I look Gita Shlok sentences, it looks more open, chanting better as the letters together seem more clear. I'm trying to listen to Sanskrit 1 videos, also Sanskrit 2 videos. Try to listen a couple of times, but the time limited with other obligations. With class notes, exercise solutions is like giving peeled banana, but eating, digesting or sadhana on my part is going slow. As I said, even if you are going slow, it's okay. Going is important. You should not just become you. So I'm happy that you are making an effort. And anytime, as I said, if you are feel getting stuck, if you are having questions, always send us the questions and we will try to help you. So I always wanted to read Devi Mahatmyam. Devi Mahatmyam is the scripture in Sanskrit, which is also known as Saptashati or Chandi. It is the 700 mantras in the praise of Divine Mother. And many people in India do the fire ceremony. In ashram also we do fire ceremony using this 700 mantras, particularly during Navdurga, the 9 days of Divine Mother. So thanks to your class, I gained enough confidence that I started chanting using Sanskrit script, that is Devanagari, I guess. When I go back and listen to the videos about splitting the words, I'm understanding the sandhis, and miracle of miracles, I'm picking on the Dvandva Samasa words. I was so proud of myself about it, just I had to let you know. So not yet there for picking other samasas. So you see, we have not covered samasa in such great detail in this course. We did touch upon them. And but the fact is that you are able to learn from it, and you are able to find the joy to see that more vistas are open to you when you are learning and chanting. That gives me also a lot of joy. So here are some other comments where people are finding that they can now, you see, is this person is saying, I decided to start studying the Devanagari script on my own, and I started Level 1 class again via class notes, now in Devanagari. So that shows that as you are making the effort, there is definitely a progress. There is definitely a sense of confidence. There is a sense of joy when you start learning the things. And that's the thing with knowledge. Any knowledge when is meant to give you the clarity. And when that clarity comes, there is this joy which in Gita is described as sattvic sukham. So the joy which is gained from the sense pleasure, that is called rajasic. The middle level, the one joy which is attained from the knowledge and clarity, that is sattvic joy, the superior joy. So I'm very happy to see those comments where you are really feeling a difference and feeling that a joy in doing the exercises. Okay, there is a question here. All tenses in the future tense conversion paragraph are kartari, correct? You have to check. Most likely that is the case. So this was related to the classwork. I think that is the case most likely, but just check whether they are kartari or karmani or bhave, and accordingly you convert them. But most likely I think they are all kartari. in the conversion in the future tense, this exercise. So with this, if there are no more questions, we'll close the class. The exercise is already posted in the repository. We will be posting the video also very soon, so that if you have to listen to some parts of the video again, you can do so. And this exercise being small, as I said, most of you can attempt it and submit it. Okay. With this, we'll close the class with the prayers. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you everyone.